Ian, we got a Patreon, don't we?
Patreon.com/CU podcast. You go, you put a little bit of money in the jar. We do a little dance. You get the full video podcast. You get Hangouts. We just did one this last weekend. You get a writing by me most weeks.
Bonus.
Due for one soon. Bonus bits. Bonus. We finished Pat's chicken.
The chicken
his
saga.
honey chicken saga this week.
Fried chicken saga.
And you get to participate in poll topics.
In second place, hardest games we have played / beaten, 26%. In first place, with the Switch at 5 years old, what has surprise impressed you? 5s and 0s on the podcast. We missed this. This was the 5th anniversary was the 3rd of March.
Wow. Yeah.
5 years of the Switch.
5 years. That also puts into perspective a lot of things. That's because I was still very sick when the Switch came out.
It was pre-Castle Country.
Because I remember Vonnie, I woke up at 3 in the afternoon feeling like shit and rolled over and put my arm around something, and it was a Switch that Vonnie had bought me and put in bed.
Yeah, that was the solo CU podcast 5-month stretch. We're in there.
Wow, 5 years.
It's been a while.
So I think the thing that, there's a few things that have surprised me personally, just in terms of how I use it. When I first got the Switch, I only ever used it in portable mode. I used it in portable mode almost exclusively for like the first 2 years.
2 years?
I hooked it up to the TV very, very infrequently.
Wow.
Because I mean, as anyone who listens to the podcast knows, I am a big fan of portable gaming.
You're a junkie.
I'm a portable game junkie. I love to curl up. I love to curl up on the couch with my portable and a
cat named Spike.
And a cat named Spike and a mug of tea or a boozy drink. And I have recently been playing it a lot on the TV and enjoying games on the TV again. So that's strange. I almost never play it in portable these days. The other thing is just the amount of support that it got. I was nervous early on about whether or not we would ever see a great amount of support return to a Nintendo product
because of the Wii U, which had almost nothing.
Well, yeah, but I mean, N64 didn't. EA was all in on the N64, but was kind of. I feel like they hedged their bets on the GameCube. They did they did some of the weird off versions of the sports games. Whatever. Maybe I'm losing. My point doesn't stick. But I'm surprised to see the support that they got and the amount of ports that they got.
Even if the 3DS was still strong.
Yes.
With support.
So I think that was another big one for me. I am so surprised that everyone who predicted it wrong.
We will never let this go. I will never let this go.
Came out and apologized. I was surprised that everyone came out and was like, boy, I looked like a big fucking idiot there.
Like the Sony fanboys saying, oh, we should have Mario games on the PS4 and things like that. Oh, yeah.
I always kind of think of one person in particular when I bring that up. And the thing is I don't have any ill will against that person, but it's just like, what a fucking boneheaded move that was.
I wonder if we're thinking of the same person. We'll discuss offline.
Yeah. What a boneheaded stance to have taken. Just so.
Well, it was full throated. That was
It wasn't. Yes, it was the full throatedness.
It wasn't just that. Yeah, I think Nintendo should go third party. It might be better. It was Nintendo is doomed if they don't go third party. Like this is the path.
Yeah,
this is the path. Ian, I want to see Star Fox on PS4 and Xbox One.
Right.
Like that's how people were, and it's like, dude, fucking Nintendo has more money than most countries in the world. Like, what are you talking about? They're going to be okay. They'll figure this out. Give them a little bit of rope here. They're going to be fine. The 3DS was still doing gangbusters almost every year. Like, it was fine. It was fine. It was overreaction. It was panic. It was weird panic that was happening.
And I was also interested to see a number of genres flourish. Surprised to see a number of genres flourish on the Switch, namely shooters and RPGs have done extremely, extremely well on the Switch. Even going back to the early days of the Switch, starting with the Sekiro shooters being put on the eShop. And now, Square Enix has got all these different RPGs out for it. It really has it's a system that really does offer something for just about everyone, except for the person whose diet consists entirely of military-grade first-person shooters.
Gray military shooters. I think what has impressed me, a lot of things have impressed me. Obviously, the sales is more than doubled what my prediction was on that. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I would. I thought they would have done a healthy 60
I said 35 to 45, and that's a success, and it would have been a success just at that.
Yeah.
But it's more than doubled it, and hell, man, we end up at 120. Like, who knows where we end up? Like, we're at 103, 104 right now, whatever it is, past this, past the Wii. And some people said, "Oh, it's never going to pass the Wii." Like a certain a failed CEO of a company said, "Oh, it's never going to get close to the Wii." Well, what's impressed me is that it started a little bit with the Wii U, but since the Wii U never got out of the gate, really, Nintendo has really gone back, and it lines up with the age range of, like, the Switch was the first console where, like, if you grew up with the NES, you might have a family now. Like, you might have a family with kids.
Sure.
And it's like, they do it in their marketing too, with like, oh, we're playing a Mario game, and let dad play and show you how it's done. They really leaned into the retro gaming stuff the past 5 years, starting with the NES Classic, which came out only months before, already 6 years ago, almost, before the Switch. It came out in late 2016. They really started to lead into, we have to not just go back to nostalgia, we need to go back to the vault and get people involved. And it helped because I think the Switch, yes, it would have been a success with just kids. You needed the parents, though, to buy in, and the older folks, us older ass 30 people,
yeah,
to buy into it, to make it this big of a success. And that's what happened. And the past years, we bring up all these collections that have come out, and obviously, you have the Genesis games being offered on Switch Online itself, NES games, Super Nintendo, now N64. It's really been nice to see that. And with Nintendo's track record before the Switch, yes, I did NES Remix, but that was like a weird one-off to me. Really was happy to see, and that was surprising me to see Nintendo lead into it that much. Where they said, okay, this is sort of the thing, a la carte. For the most part, people don't want that. We're going to offer more of a range here with that. And that was nice to see that. That was nice to see that, because it made sense.
I would have preferred that they kept with the virtual console style of single purchases, but to each their own.
That's not, I mean, we're in a world now with streaming, and
sure,
you pay one price.
You
get
want
a bunch of
packages.
stuff.
I know,
Yeah.
People want packages.
Different world than 15 years ago, a lot different. Pre-smartphone world, pre-streaming world, a lot's changed the past even 10 years there. So that surprised me. What kind of surprised me, the re-embracement of Nintendo as like the family sort of leader of video games, like in the larger culture. Obviously, tons of sales helped that. If you did not have the success of the Switch that's happened the past years, I don't think you'd see all these Universal parks opening up like this. If it was like only 15 million Switch or 20 million, I don't think you'd see all these parks open up. You wouldn't see a Mario movie being made, most likely. It would have been like, oh, Nintendo's nice, but
sure,
they know their place, sort of thing.
Or you wouldn't see this all happening so quickly, at least.
Yeah. Seeing Animal Crossing get into the, mainstream public was shocking to me. And obviously the pandemic helped with that, but that was all over the place.
What's that, Animal Crossing?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I hate to talk about COVID in any positive light, but for Nintendo, COVID was a positive.
Yes.
And absolutely, and this is where Pactor was wrong.
One of the many things.
One of the many things, but the ability to use that system as both a portable and a home console, I'm sure, made that an easy purchase for a lot of people because they saw it as multi-valued. And then two, Animal Crossing. I love Animal Crossing. I love the characters in theory. The most recent one was not my favorite. It would have done well without COVID, but it absolutely would not have sold anywhere near what it sold if it did not come out when we were all locked down for 2 to 3 months.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. The attach rate on that game is, I would love to take them. I should look into it. I want to know what the highest attach rate ever is for a game that you had to buy with the system. You had to buy. It didn't come with the system. I want to know what the highest attach rate ever is, and then I want to know how much Animal Crossing beats it by, because there's never going to be an attach rate like that again. It's insane.
What's it at?
I don't know. I haven't looked at it in a while, but it was when it came out, it was an over 50% attach rate.
You mean just for the time, not historic, just for the time?
Well, historically, it's still going to be very good, but at the time,
it was
nuts.
The
time when that game came out, it was like, I think we were at 60 million units sold
in 2 years
of the system.
3 years.
think we're at 60 million, and I think they said something like 38. Like they did, I think it was something really weird, like crazy, like 38 million fucking copies of Animal Crossing or something.
Okay,
if you want to look that
it came
up.
out March 20th. It obviously got great reviews. It was all over the place. I mean, freaking presidential campaign used it as a marketing tool. I mean, that was like really like that.
Yeah.
That's how mainstream it got. Where are the sales numbers here? Why they're not coming up here? New Horizons sales numbers. So for a while, I remember we discussed it, Ian, where when it passed Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Oh yeah.
I was like, okay, you got to take this this seriously.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. 22.4 million units sold is how many it's.
But versus how many Switches were at the time.
That was insane.
That's like, oh, you said if there was 60, that's over a third.
Yeah, I thought it was over half, so I was wrong. But still,
and that's nuts for a game like that. That was never a hugely popular game.
Yeah.
It was all right. It did okay, obviously, but it wasn't like, oh my god, this is the game everyone has to buy.
I thought it definitely. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has now surpassed it at 26.74. But Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild is 19.9 million.
Oh, it sold. Okay, you were way off, Ian. It was way higher. It sold 37.62 million copies worldwide.
Oh, okay.
And it broke the console game record. Let's see, console game record for most digital units sold in a single month. The console game record, not Nintendo. The console game record.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at something from August 6, 2020. So, yeah, my numbers are way off. That was like closer to when it was actually happening.
It sold the console game record
wow.
for digital sales sold in a month.
Okay, yeah, so this was before it blew out.
The second best-selling game on the Switch, the best-selling game of all time in Japan. Of all time. And the 13th best-selling video game in history. Animal Crossing.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So that was shocking.
Yep. It certainly was shocking.
People needed something to do, like you said. Probably like, oh, this is a cute-looking game. I'm home alone. I ain't doing anything.
Yep.
You can interact with people in the game. If you couldn't go outside during some lockdown.
Visit friends.
It was a perfect storm of sort of weird shit happening in the world with a game that was sort of like tailored for that, if that makes sense. Like, you couldn't have dreamt a better scenario to release that game, of course. It was horrible, the pandemic. But, like, for Nintendo, like, not in the pandemic, they wouldn't have done even, 40% of that? Like, not even close.
Yeah. Yep.
It's done 37.62 million worldwide.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was in the 30s. I'm literally looking at something.
Now, obviously, it didn't do all that the first year,
No.
but the majority of that was the first year, and that's a huge.
Well, this I'm
attachment.
looking at right now. The article that I looked at, being from August 2020, would have been 5 months after its release, and it had already sold 22.4 million units.
That's insane.
That's boggling.
That's insane to do that. So that was obviously shocking to us, and that probably helped Switch sell more because people found out about the game, and you know what I mean. It was like a feedback loop sort of thing.
Yeah,
it became a killer app.
Yes,
like for the first time, Animal Crossing is a killer app.
Yeah.
So the next time Animal Crossing comes out, it's going to do huge, just regardless. Mm-hmm. It's now Mario Kart, which is weird to say that. So, anything else that sort of surprised or impressed you in 5 years?
Yeah, that's about it.
That's about it.
That's about it.
So great. Obviously, gangbuster sales, third party attachment, leaning into the retro game stuff and nostalgia and offerings more than I even thought they would. Animal Crossing, and I've been impressed with it. I was also I think Switch the Switch Online service didn't surprise people. Might have surprised people that took Nintendo sort of longer than they should to get there, but you know, Nintendo comes around eventually. Maybe eventually comes around.